I'm Namita Gupta-Wiggers. I am the Director and Chief Curator at Museum of Contemporary Craft in Portland, Oregon, and a member of the Board of Trustees of the American Craft Council. And we are here today because we have an exhibition that's been put together to honor the 2012 College of Fellows of the American Craft Council. This is a program that began in 1975, and it's the only distinction that is available in the United States where peers are awarding other peers recognition for significant achievement and contribution to the field of craft. This exhibition is organized in conjunction with an awards ceremony that honors the College of Fellows recipients for this year. It's taking place at SOFA Chicago, which is one of the biggest places for folks in the craft arena to come together every year. College of Fellow Awards recipient Sharon Church is represented by Persephone's Bouquet. It's a beautiful example of what Sharon is known for, which is very, very detailed carving in a range of different kinds of materials. And then she will also set gemstones or gold or different things in there to further embellish the pieces, which gives you an example of the amazing skill she has as a craftsperson to be able to set diamonds in carved wood and other materials absolutely seamlessly. College of Fellows Award recipient Anne Currier is represented by two pieces that are diptychs and part of a frieze series that she constructed. They're interesting because they operate individually on pedestals, but they also have these wonderful features when you walk around the pieces where you start to see these angles and lines and forms that go into one another. When you walk around the pieces, the thing that is really striking is getting up close. There's a level of detail in the glazing that doesn't always come through in photographs. It's a great example of where sometimes seeing the object in reality is very different than seeing the object reproduced. Andrea Gill is another one of our College of Fellow recipients this year. Andrea tends to work very, very large and blows up the beginnings of traditional forms, but then takes them into these very, very whimsical places. For me, the thing that was most striking is when you get to see Andrea's work in person, you really get to see all the detail of the painting and the surface treatment that doesn't always show through in a reproduction. It reminds you of of painting and things that you see in Mexico or in Italy, and the surface treatment that you see with more traditional forms of pottery. College of Fellows recipient Louis Knauss is represented in this exhibition with three of his pieces, the most recent pieces. We chose these pieces because they really give you the feeling and the sensation of being in a space that has been decimated by fire or by drought or by certain kinds of natural situations. And it's one of those sensitivities that Louis has in his materials and how he puts them into these beautiful fiber forms that I think is a really powerful aspect of his work. I really like the way that Louis's work is at a very micro level. You look at it and you can feel what it feels like when you walk over scorched earth. So one of our College of Fellows recipients is Tom Moser, and he's represented with this bench called 21 and Over. And the interesting thing about Tom is that he has an incredible sense of humor. He has done pieces where they're rocking chairs, where they rock back and forth, rather than the way you would normally rock a chair, so you actually have to work with a partner. This is a great example of some of the ways he brings his whimsy in with really beautiful traditions of tools and handworking, and creates one-of-a-kind pieces that draw a lot of attention but are also functional at the same time. I think it's a great example of how he's bringing in color, but then he also is using these old antique parts mixed in with this very rough raw wood that calls your attention to things like George Nakashima or other kinds of artists, but gives you this tradition of the hand-worked object as well. Dante Marioni is another recipient of the College of Fellows Award for 2012. Dante is somebody who is recognized as being at the moment when Seattle and the glass movement really, really took off even more than it had in the 1970s. He's also an example of this really interesting shift in aesthetics from very globby forms to very refined forms that have an echo of the Italian tradition in that they're very formal, but the colors are very, very of his age and his generation. College of Fellows Award recipient Shari Smith participated in what is now understood to be a groundbreaking exhibition called Wall Hangings at MoMA, Museum of Modern Art in New York, in 1969. Shari is a great example of a generation that took what were textile techniques being used for home decor and everyday kinds of objects, curtains, hangings, things to fit into big international style architecture, but then turned it into something where it became a vehicle for creative and personal expression. That exhibition has been cited many, many times as being this moment when many people started to understand that they could use textiles and fiber in a completely different way. So this year's honorary fellow is Bruce Pepich, who is the director and curator of collections at the Racine Art Museum. As a museum curator, it's really exciting to see someone like Bruce represented in this group of College of Fellows, because it gives a chance for people to understand the important role that museums play in introducing artwork to the community and to building community wherever somebody lives. Bruce has done an amazing job of being a mentor for many of us who are coming up in the field, and continues to be a role model for understanding how to build a museum that has national presence but completely serves its local community. This year's College of Fellows gold medal winner is Stephen DeStaebler. And Stephen DeStaebler is receiving this award posthumously. And the impact Stephen has had on the field is tremendous and very, very far-reaching. What's amazing about Stephen is the way that his work looks like it comes out of some ancient archaeological find, but at the same time is very, very, very 20th century. It really feels at the same time like figurative work that represents the post-World War II experience that many people felt when they went back to working in more organic kinds of ways. What's amazing about Stephen is that he was also working in the Bay Area at a time that Peter Voulkos and other people were doing very abstract expressionist work. And that physicality is something that you get in Stephen's work, where he physically throws his own body into shaping and moving the clay. The expressive qualities, though, aren't really about abstract expressionism in the same way that Peter Voulkos and other people were doing it at the time. So Stephen chose to work with the figure, and to do figurative work at that moment was a really monumental way to stand on your own and to do your own kind of work and have your own voice going forward.